Hi, everyone. Welcome. So this is my webinar. Well, my name is Donna Piper, and this webinar is about how to use movement and energy work to transform your life. So full disclosure, at the end of this webinar, I am going to ask you to uh, sign up for my program. It's like a month long. It's 4 weeks. It's called Transform Stress into Joy. So I'll talk about that more at the very end. But right now, let's get into why I say or why I think and all the studies that have been out there about how you can use movement and energy work to transform your life right now. So when we talk about movement, we first have to talk about energy. And everything that we are in our whole world is made up of energy. There's a few things about energy. There's some laws that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Also, energy can't be stored. It's not like if you have a lot of energy this day, you're going to be like, oh, okay, like I can save that this much up for a day that, in the future, if I don't feel like I have enough energy, I could pull some energy from that. And few other things is that energy creates energy. So in order to get more energy, you actually have to put energy out there. And then the last thing is that energy is usually flowing or stuck, especially in your body. You could really see that if like you have low energy or if you have tightness somewhere, usually that's some kind of stuck energy. That doesn't mean that there's not an injury or something else going on, but those are like the main principles that we're going to talk about right now. So the way to get movement unstuck or energy unstuck or to create more energy or transform your energy, whatever you have, say if it's stuck energy or if it's a lot of anxiety energy or energy that's created by stress or depression, there's, heavy energy. The best way to get that moving, and really the only way, is through moving. So it doesn't have to be rigorous movement. It doesn't even have to be like steady, really like high intensity movement. It could just be some breath work. It could be bringing your legs up the wall. It could be stretching, just gentle stretching for your toes. And really what's most effective is just taking a walk, getting up out of your seat, walking around your house. If you can right now, walk outside with a mask or whatever you need to do to make sure you're safe. That's kind of just really easy, simple things you can do every day to create more energy and to get the energy just flowing and unstuck. Most of the time right now we are pretty sedentary, and the good thing about like where we are, not to be so like polarized, but our technology and how much we have advanced our society, that we could do work from home through the computers. We've created our world so there's a lot of conveniences to us, so we really don't have to move as much. But the human body is really designed to move. So now it takes like extra effort to get out there and move, just to get the minimum movement to get your body working efficiently and balanced. So that's a lot of times now that's why we're more like overwhelmed and more anxious, and we have a lot more time to think about our problems or what's going on, and then we have much more connection to getting information right away, like what's out there, what news broadcasts 24 hours a day, all this input coming in. And how stress kind of happens in our body is every time we go into an environment where our body naturally scans to see like if this is a safe environment or if there's some danger. So when your central nervous scans through this, it is getting ready to create some neurotransmitters if there's any sort of need to run away, to fight back. And a lot of times a freeze response is the most common use, because we don't really need to get away or fight against something, so our body freezes. And our body's still creating all these neurotransmitters. So, and that's energy. If you ever heard of stories where like in moments of extreme like peril or distress, People report all of this and crazy amount of energy to lift things or move things that they couldn't do. And that's really all this adrenaline, all these neurotransmitters that your body creates to protect you. In the freeze response, that's when animals are like hide and freeze and be really still. So the predator either thinks that you're not there, or that you've already passed away. So there's nothing else to do. You're not a threat any longer to them. How you get rid of that energy and discharge that energy is through your body shakes, and animals shake and your whole body goes through this shaking. But because we're so evolved now and smart with this frontal lobe we can stop that process. We are so smart and evolved now, we can even stop a lot of things we don't want to think or feel. Like, we could choose to feel how we're sitting, like how I'm sitting in my chair. I could choose to not feel this part of my body or the backside of my body. I have to bring into my consciousness, okay, I'm sitting on a chair. How does it make my muscles feel? How does it make my back feel? Is there emotions that are attached to that? What is my thought process? So I can think to choose that, or I could just, I'm sitting in a chair, my body's used to it. I don't even have to think about it anymore. And that is where, in that area where our mind is so powerful and our body needs to do this very natural sort of process, that's where a lot of emotions start running and they start repeating themselves. So you might feel anxious and overwhelmed or worried a lot, or a tremendous amount of sadness, and then or frustration because it keeps on coming up or you can't control it. So the best way, one of the most effective ways if implemented correctly, is to really just get your body moving. That's walking, that's stretching, literally turning on music, shaking. All of these things will help start releasing all of this energy that your body created. And a lot of times it's been triggered, this downward cycle of feeling negative emotions. When you're stressed, you don't really think, oh gosh, I'm so excited and joy. There is joy underneath all these emotions, but it's really just trying to do something proactive with what's going on right now with your body when you're in those states to help transform it into something else. So the 3 things I could give you for movement that you could do today that could help start transforming just your body if you feel your energy stuck or if you have any aches and pains. And always check with your doctor. There might be an underlying medical condition where Western medical or Eastern medicine is whatever you prefer. That intervention is definitely needed. However, a lot of it can be just making your body a space to receive what's going on with, so if you need to take medicine, if your body is balanced and moving and the energy is flowing and you're more open, then you're able to assimilate some of the medicine a little easily, because all this movement, it's all tied together. We can't think about our mind, our emotions, our spirituality, and our physical body, even our ego. We can't separate them. We do talk about them as all different entities, but really we're housed in this one physical body, and they all interplay off each other. Same as our central nervous system, our cardiovascular system, our respiratory system, they all work together. There's this intricate behind the scenes going on. You could look at it as electricity lines or highway lines, just however you want to see it, but all of them interplay with each other. And everything is, if you're doing something over here, it's definitely going to affect something over here. That's just how it is. So that could go both ways. It could go downward spiral or upward spiral. So especially when it comes to our central nervous system and our cardiovascular system and our respiratory system, how we metabolize food, how our hormones get created, our adrenal glands, all of those things, how we digest our food, all of those things are together. So if one is off, then it's going to affect something else. So the 3 movement strategies you could start today to help just feel better is simply do some breath work. So breath work is, you don't want to force your breath to do anything. especially unless you're like in a program and there's a specific reason for it. But breath is very, very powerful. So the one thing I like to do, just so I don't have to force or try to really concentrate on how to breathe, if I'm feeling that my breath is shallow or I need more grounding, there's a mudra you could do, a hand movement, where you just bring your thumb to your pinky finger on both sides and just let your fingers fall over. And then you could just place your hands in your lap. And what that does is you can and you can play around with it. It's kind of fun to go through all your fingers. You just become aware of your torso. And as you do this mudra, just follow your breath. You don't have to change your breath, control how many counts your breath is going, like 4, 9, none of that. Just feel your body moving in and out and see how the breath goes all the way down to your pelvis and all the way up to your collarbone without you having to force the breath there or do anything. So it's a nice, gentle way just to get more breath into your body and drop that shallow breathing from up here all the way down. So your whole body is being oxygenated. So just do that for a few minutes, and typical results are always that you feel more grounded and calmer because you're slowing down. And that's the other thing I want to talk about with movement. A lot of times we think, okay, got to move, got to get it out. We're going to get this thing done. Well, really the reverse is true, to kind of create some healing patterns in your body and to create change. Slowing way down and being aware of what you're doing gives your body much more information and a chance for your brain and your muscles to work together to create new neural pathways. So there's a neuromuscular component that is very, very effective in changing how you feel. So creating more room in your body and also just creating some more vitality in youth. So it's not aesthetic youth, even though that could be a side benefit, but youthfulness, if you think about it as a child or as you age, you think about, when I had all these dreams and aspirations and anything was possible. And sometimes, not always, but a majority of the time as we age, we think, okay, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's limited. And a lot of those limitations and limiting thoughts are really because you're in a habit of doing something. So as you're habitually do something over and over, you don't really have to think, you're not that conscious of like, okay, to drink my cup of tea, I have to take my hand and my fingers wrap around the cup, and then I'm using these muscles to lift, and then as I come here, I'm using these muscles in my mouth, and then it's going down my throat, and all these things are happening. So you're not aware, you're just taking your tea and drinking it. So to slow down and also be aware of each movement when you do simple things. So pick something you do every day, either if you make coffee or tea, even brushing your teeth or brushing your hair. Find a movement that you know you do every day and become aware of how you're moving. So what I mean by that is if you're making, say, coffee. So if you're scooping coffee grinds into the thing, be aware of what part is touching the spoon. What part of your wrist and your arm are you moving to put the coffee grains in the pot? How are you doing with the water? Where does the water come from? So being aware of every muscle, every finger, every muscle, every bone, everything that you're doing in order to do that routine or that same thing you do every day. And then in addition to noticing how your muscles are moving, your arms, everything is moving, then take it a step further and check in to see how you're feeling. What emotions, if anything, that it's tapping into. Or is there a pain sensation or a pleasure sensation? So doing those things create new neural pathways, even though it's the same thing you've maybe done like 100 times, 1,000 times before. Every day, if you become aware of how you're moving, that's a new experience, and it seems new because it is new. And it's not rote anymore. It's not a habit. Habits make us old, just meaning that it creates the same. We're not creating anything new in our bodies. So then other parts, becomes an imbalance because we're doing the same thing over and over. Sometimes habitual things that we do over and over can create pain sensation. It can create You know, there's carpal tunnel issues, or just think of whatever you do that could create, that you do repetitively, that maybe you have a shoulder issue now because how you've held your purse forever, or how you do something on your phone, or you carry your laptop. So those are two things. So we talked about the breath work with the mudra. The second thing is pick something that you habitually do every day and create something new with it by noticing how you move, and then also noticing how you feel as you're doing this movement. And the third thing is just really something simple that really helps me a lot. So I'm a big advocate. You may not love it, but just placing your legs up a wall and lying on the ground. So you could place, it doesn't have, if you have tight hamstrings or tight lower back, your feet could be, your bottom can be as far away as you need to from the wall, but just that the legs are up so the energy is flowing down, and then your whole torso is supported by the ground underneath you. You're looking for your whole body to be supported. What that does is it relaxes your central nervous system. It aids in digestion and all these other things as well, but what it really does is it totally calms down your system, because your system feels totally supported. So it's not actively looking like, okay, am I in danger? Do I need to think this? None of that extra neurotransmitters are being created, and it's a time to really rest. And the body really does need to rest and get into states of active rest in order to heal. So the movement happens, but then you also have to have a nice component with the resting. You can't just move, 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 because that creates stress, and some stress creates change. But if you overly stress your body, then you're just kind of doing the same cycle. So the next thing I want to talk about is energy work. So those are the movement things you could do right now to feel better and start transforming how you feel every day. And just play around with it and see like what changes and how you, if you view things differently. And the next thing again is energy work. So what I mean by energy work is I'm going to be talking about something called soul awakening method. And there's many sort of things out there energy work related. There's Reiki, there is, you could do Akashic records. There's all these different things where you're in more esoteric realm. But the main thing, there's meditation. Meditation is really good. Things to get you into this theta. It's a hot word right now. I think most people know about it. Like once you're in a state of theta, it's a wave. So they've tested people about, REM sleep and different waves that the brain gets in. And in the theta realm, that's when change takes place. That's when you're in meditation, and you could really transform a lot of your body, a lot of your thoughts and emotions through being in this theta state. So I do a method called Soul Awakening Method, where we tap into the theta wave, and then through techniques of applied kinesiology, we look for anything that's inherited or trapped in your body that's an emotion that's no longer serving you. So this method is based on epigenetics. So epigenetics, it's kind of a lengthy topic, so I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. So we all have DNA. So everyone knows that, like I have a certain color, eye color, body type, my whole, like my system, like when I was born, I have a set of DNA. That set of DNA can't be changed. There's another layer that comes down with the DNA that is like some personality traits, inherited emotions, ways of being. And that is the epigenetics part. That is what's in your DNA, but that can be changed or transformed. And I liken it to, I heard this analogy and kind of changed it a little, but basically it's, say you have a sheet of music, a song. So you have this beautiful song someone wrote out. All the notes are on the pages, everything, all the quarter notes, whole notes, everything. So this is the song. So the song isn't gonna, so the song is like your DNA, it's the bones of it. But how people play it is different. They could go, you can add, it could go faster, it could go slower, you could change tempo, you could change key. So that's the part that we're gonna work with, is this change, how it shows up, how these negative emotions or inherited emotions show up in your life that are not serving you anymore. So typically, and not typically, but how the ego works for everyone is that it's there to protect you. And we all have it. And based on what happened in our lives and our ancestors' lives, these patterns of behavior come up around emotions because you don't want to feel it, or there's a protection that happens. And maybe an ancestor long ago needed to protect you against, I don't know, maybe public speaking. Maybe something happened to them when they were in the limelight and they created something negative happened and they needed to create some protection around it. So then they passed it down to generation to generation. So now you're afraid of public speaking and you don't really know why. So it's not yours, and it doesn't come up unless you kind of avoided the public speaking realm, and then one day you have to do something and you're like, oh, right, don't want to do it, your stomach hurts, or whatever. So there now it shows up, but you really want to do whatever profession you want to be able to speak. So what we would do is we would ask a question to your body and we would get the answer from your body. It's nothing that I give to you. It's not a set thing that this is why. It's specific to you. And then we go ahead and clear and release that negative emotion from your epigenetics, from your patterning right now. So then we integrate something new, and really what this something new is, it's not like hypnosis or we're not planting something that's not there. Again, your body scans for what we look for, what is needed. So say you have a lot of fear of public speaking and it came out that I don't know, maybe from an ancestor, it was that you were embarrassed because something happened, you misspoke, or that ancestor misspoke. So there's all this embarrassment and shame. So we clear that, and then maybe then the replacement and the integration of something new to support you, because we don't always just want to clear stuff and leave you open. We also want to give something to build on, some building blocks. And these are things you already have within inside you. It's not that it's coming from an external source, but just confidence. So then we integrate confidence. So then when you're in a public speaking situation, maybe there's a little nerves, or you're, a little nervous or excited, but it's not so terrifying. And you're not so focused on a negative outcome, and you have more confidence to do it. So you feel more comfortable to put yourself in those places again, and you start enjoying it. So that's the basic of what the energy work that I'm talking about. So that, but you can also do this through meditation. You can also do this through Reiki. You can also do this just from changing your vibration, however you do that, from just walking or doing some movements, self-exploration. But because our bodies are made of energy, it makes more sense to use an energy work modality in order to give you some relief. And the whole idea for all of this that I'm talking about is you're not going to change. I don't have a magic wand, and I'm not saying that all your problems are going to go away and you're not going to feel sad or upset or mad, but I want to give you some different tools that can support you through this. So it's not so extreme, or you're not in the sadness or anger for a longer. So you feel it, but then you come back out of it, because really we're here to connect with people, create some fun connections, love, happiness, joy, and bliss. And especially in times like this where there's so much unknown, our human mind goes to the worst case scenario. And we have to be real about what's going on and make decisions based in like reality. However, if our reality is just wrought with fear and anxiety, I know for me personally, I've never made a great decision out of fear. So by clearing out some of those issues that are already there with gripping the fear in you, so you have more clarity, then when new information comes up and problems come up and things come up, then you have a new way to approach it, that it's not the same way, so it's different. And then your world may shift, and just your perception shifts. And they've done a ton of studies. Just by shifting your perception could shift how you really view your life and how your level of happiness and vitality and physical well-being are. And that's really what movement and energy work that I present to you is why I present it and why I think it works so well. And for my own life, I've seen it over and over again. I was in college, I got a dance education degree, and then I went and got my master's in dance movement psychotherapy. I've worked with mainly with trauma. That was my focus, my thesis, and everything. I worked with Vietnam vets that have post-traumatic stress disorder. And then from there, I worked with substance abuse counseling that had the root in trauma. I also did a lot of crisis counseling. And then I've been a Pilates instructor for the last 20 years, yoga over 20 years. I teach yoga nidra. Kind of the list goes on and on. But basically, everything that I've done in my life and working with clients one-on-one or in a group has been with the body. And in addition, I've done my own sort of meditation, like journey practice, spiritual practice on my own. And that was included in the dance therapy and the dance. There's a lot of just being with the moment, with what is, and surrendering to that, but being totally alive. So how do you surrender to something and be totally in it at the same time? It seems counterintuitive and like it can't happen, it's contradiction, but really it is. When you're in that moment, you really do feel bliss and you do get some clarity. So my program that I've created, that's kind of based on all of my years of experience and my own personal journey. When I had pneumonia last year, I got viral pneumonia and I was in bed for a couple months. And for being a mover, it was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? And then also I wasn't teaching Pilates or anything during that time. I was an executive assistant. And even though I was working every day when I had pneumonia, in the middle of my 2-month in bed stay, I got let go. So I got fired doing that. And there was a few things that were devastating for me. One, I was like sick and I was like, gosh, I'm already like trying just not to die, literally. And now I have to like look for an income and a job. I can't even get out of bed. How am I going to even get on the computer to find a job? So there was all of that went through me. And then also it was a position that I loved and an organization that I loved. So I was heartbroken on that level too. So I had to go through my own journey. Like, okay, well, I could wallow in this and I can be really like, woe is me and I'm a victim, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, well, what do I know? What can I do right now? This is the situation. I can't get out of bed. I'm sick. So I did the breath work I showed you, and then also I did the legs at the wall, and then I started doing some of my Pilates and movement, and it was a really fine balance. Some days I could just do like one little exercise, and that took all my energy, and then I had to rest. So I really had to find the balance and be good with like, okay, I did one thing, because my tendency is I want to do everything. So I had to pull back in and be like, no, I'm on a healing journey physically, and I need to heal some of my heartache and some of this upsetness that I feel from not having this job. And then I need to figure out what else I'm going to do. So time and time again, every day in my meditation, everything is like, okay, like this is what I am really meant to do. I love working with people and helping them. And then I was like, well, how am I going to do it? And then I found this. My friend Lisa Thomas created she's been doing this work for a while, and she created a certificate program. So then I got certified in the Soul Awakening method, and it kind of bridged everything that I've been doing. Movement and therapy and working with people one-on-one and making them feel better in the bodies they have and really with the life that they have right now. And so I'm bringing it to you in a way that utilizes everything. So this Soul Awakening method doesn't have to be in this program, but the program that I'm offering, Transform Stress into Joy, goes through everything I talked about. So each week we talk about a different topic. The first week is about energy, the next week is about stress, and more in depth in all of these things. And then the third week is really this transformation and integration of stress into joy and how you transform we've been transforming the stress for the last 3 weeks, and then how are we really integrating? How's it showing up now? How can this joy and this blissfulness be the underlying thing of how we live our life? And then the 4th week is really sustaining in what we do from that moment forward. In the program that you get is 3 one-hour soul awakening sessions where we personalize and really clear your inherited and trapped emotions that are no longer serving you. So you bring the questions, you bring what you want to work on, your body gives the answers, and I'm just a facilitator to make those changes happen with you. And then you get a meditation to do during that time. You get some movement exercises to explore. We go through some movement regimens to do, whether you want to do some yoga, walking, or Pilates, or something else. So we tailor that to you. So the program, part of it is just videos to watch, meditations and audios, but also a lot of it is one-on-one. We tailor the program to you. So it's not just you buy this program, you click through, and then you're done. It's really more about education on one end, and then doing the actual work, the experience of it. And then the last thing is really how it's fully integrated. So the program is $497 if you pay in full, or if you pay for 3 payments, it's $199 a month. If you wanted to schedule a discovery call with me, go ahead and click the link below to this video or webinar, or you can DM me or get a hold of me through. I'll have all these links underneath this video. And there's been a few questions that I want to go ahead and answer. I hope I got everything with what the program entails. But the first question is that why can't you just do this, on your own? And I say to that, you can, definitely. Meditate on your own, move on your own, find your own, totally. However, because we are human beings that love connection, even if we don't think we do, it's the transfer and it's the connection that happens where most of the healing takes place. So as I was a therapist in my training, and that was the thing they would say over and over. It's not really the modality of like, am I Freudian, am I cognitive behavioral, Gestalt, whatever my theoretical framework is, that's not as important as the therapeutic connection, because it's in the transference that dynamic happens change. So this work is different because it's not therapy, but by having another person witness you and hear you and be seen by you is very powerful. It sounds cliche, but really, as humans, we just want to be heard and loved and seen. So by having someone witness our pain and then there to help support us, that really helps us make these changes happen. Then the other thing is with this energy work specifically, is that a lot of times you can muscle test and do things, and your ego can get involved, and you can kind of not manipulate or control, but it's not as pure what you find, because maybe you have a story about what it is, and someone else doing the work with you and finding out what these emotions are that need to be cleared, it's much more powerful. It goes deeper. And then and it's nice just to have some accountability, and not so much that you control, like, oh, the stress of accountability. It's more that you're supported, and the accountability is that someone's there and you can ask questions. Like, meditation isn't easy, and working on yourself isn't easy, and you have a blind spot of things, and then that blind spot isn't there when you're working with me, isn't there for I could critique you and tell you how bad you are, what you need to do. The blind spot is there because I could see maybe something that you can't and guide you in a different way. So then you start feeling better. You go through these obstacles and they don't feel like obstacles or struggles anymore. The next question I have is, does it have to be done in the month? And no. So The best kind of case scenario is every 7 to 10 days we have a one-on-one session and you go through the work. So it's a little bit over a month really if you do the 10 days, but it's basically right around there. The first 3 sessions, like one-on-one, the idea is to go through them and get you to a place where we're clearing this stuff and, building you up. And so you start seeing changes. Then once with all the other meditations and the movement and the walking, you kind of understand how you react to stress and everything. So when it starts coming up, you're more aware of like, okay, this is causing me lots of stress. I could do the same old thing or I could do something else. So it's more education and support. So you do have up to 6 months to complete the program, but it's just nice to do it in the first month and then you feel more supported, like you're really seeing this thing. You'll still see it over 6 months, but it's just more condensed, that you have a little bit more of a cradle and a nurturing support. But you definitely can take up to 6 months to complete the program. Then the other question I get is, do I have to do all that, or can I just do the session with you? And the answer to that is yes, I do have personal sessions that I do. So you could just contact me and they're just an hour remotely, and we could go through the same soul awakening session, so you don't have to do the program. The program is just nice because it just gives you some added components and some additional support. Also, the program, what it does, we have weekly question and answer sessions. You can always contact me for any of your questions if you're struggling with anything. And then also at the end, after you're done with the program, you have access to weekly group sessions for clearings and some other bonuses that you get with it. So if you have any more questions for me, I would love to answer them. The registration closes this Friday at midnight, the 22nd, and spaces are limited. So let me know if you have any questions about anything I said, and I'd love to meet you and talk to you, and I look forward to being here and seeing what you guys need. All right, thank you. Have a great day.